Hey guys, it's Kelsey. I'm back with another scrapbooking process video. Today is Stretch the Sketch. So this is a sketch we have for today, and I'm going to squish it down into an 8.5 by 11, and then per usual we'll mat it on a 12 by 12 at the end. But I really was inspired by the mixed media bubble look of that layout. So just a trigger warning for people who don't like reptiles, Franklin is about to enter the frame. Franklin is my bearded dragon. So just before he pops on, I don't want anyone to get startled. But I decided to try to recreate this bubble theme here. I looked up different ways to get this really cool bubbly effect by adding acrylic paint, water, and soap into a cup and then blowing bubbles through a straw. And then once the bubbles have overlapped the top of the cup, you smush your layout down onto it. It turned out really, really cool when the lady I watched did it, but she was also using colored paint and doing it on a white background, whereas I wanted to be ambitious or silly and try to do the bubbles in white on a very light brown background. Again, I am pulling in from my wood grain stash, the wood grain that I pulled in earlier this month. I think coordinates really, really well with this collection because I didn't want to trim one of my two 12 by 12s I had left into a 8.5 by 11 for this one. So I'm attempting to do this white bubbly look on the wood grain to follow the inspiration sketch, and it just was not working. I think my cup was too big. I think my proportion of soap to paint to water was off, but either way, I decided just to go in with an old school method and put acrylic paint on a surface and ring my cup in it and stamp it. And so that's what I decided to do instead. The first one turned out kind of messy. Most of that one will get trimmed off. This is kind of what I like about doing mixed media on a 12 by 12 when you only need a piece of it, because I can be strategic with how I trim my 8.5 by 11 out of this 12 by 12. But I did go in with the top and bottom of the solo cup, but my favorite bubble stamp that I ended up using was my can of Coke. This one turned out really good with using the bottom of the Coke can, but I'm just trying to create that same look as the sketch with the bubbles. And Franklin was a very good little helper there. Usually he only wears his little harness if we're going outside, but Marcus just wanted him to wear it, and so I guess Marcus was holding him and decided to give him to me while I was scrapbooking. So that's why he is in the first part of this layout, but I end up putting him back. Look, he's so cute. Franklin has an Instagram. It's Franklin the Bearded Dragon King, if anybody wants to follow him. My brother had a bearded dragon growing up, and I really liked him, and I don't know, like a couple months ago I just started obsessing over bearded dragons, and then like one thing led to another, and all of a sudden I had a bearded dragon. But the way it happened is really weird. It's just kind of meant to be. But anyways, I'm obsessed with Franklin. You'll probably see pictures of him at some point. But he does have an Instagram if you want to follow his adventures, because he's kind of awesome. But anyways, he's back with Dad now, and I am inking my 8.5 by 11 that I just trimmed down. I am using this single 4x4 of Marcus, me, and Father Tim after our wedding. I really wanted to do one photo for this, like the inspiration sketch, just so I could follow it as closely as possible. So that's why I went with this one. And now I'm going through some of this ephemera I have and trying to figure out what I want to do. I loved this sketch because it has, the main embellishment was this bubbly mixed media and then word stickers. And I was like, perfect, I have a bunch of word stickers I need to use. So I play around with if I want to cluster at the top here, how I want to embellish. I was trying to embellish more with other things, and it just wasn't working. So I revisit the sketch and decide to just go in with the word stickers the way they did, because I liked how it looked when they did it. And then I could kind of fill in any gaps I see with embellishment after that. So that little white frame is super cute. That's from Ronnie. I was thinking about using that on this page, but I'll save it for another one because I changed gears in a second here once I kind of figure out what I want to do. I was kind of stuck because I had limited scraps and I didn't want to cut into a 12 by 12. So I was thinking about adding a couple layers with what I did have. I just really didn't want to sacrifice. I have only two 12 by 12s left, and I have like 3 more pages to do. So I didn't want to cut into a 12 by 12 just to layer this little 4 by 4 photo. So I have to get creative. I look at this for a while and try to see if I want to use this as a mat and then I get stuck. I just go back to the sketch and decide to do the word stickers first. So I'm going through all the word stickers and trying to find what's going to be the most on theme. I'm getting down, I'm like halfish way down the sticker sheet. So a lot of the ones that are left are not on theme. So I'm really trying to be selective about which ones I pick. But I end up going in with 4 of them at the top right-hand corner of the page, and then I'll add one down by the photo kind of towards the end of the layout just so it's tied in. But I go in with Beautiful as a Dream, Someone Special, My Darling, and Joyful, and I feel like all of those are really on theme. I did invert the sketch for this, just the way my bubbles turned out. I decided just to kind of do the mirror image of the sketch, so that's why I'm doing the words kind of on the right side and having the photo down on the left side. But all of those are getting popped up on some foam. I really like the staggery look that they have, same as the sketch. So I'm going to go ahead and get those in place because I know I want those there. And then I will revisit layering my photo because I just had a headache and a half trying to figure out how I was going to do that without using more paper. But I like how those are staggered. I think that's really sweet. And now I'm going through the scraps that I do have to try to figure out and commit to doing something. I decided I did matte the 4x4 in white, and then I decided to do another matte in the pink that I had gutted from a previous layout. And again, I'm even gutting this little section just because I need to try to somehow squeeze out 3 more layouts with the supplies I have left. So I'm even gutting that. I'm trying to remember to ink everything in this light brown that is Vintage Photo. I love that brown. And now I'm back to square one with trying to figure out other layers that I want because this looks way too plain, and I need, if if most of the layout's going to look kind of plain, I really want a lot of condensed layers around the focal point, which is the photo. So it's just me trying to figure it out. There is this kind of leafy sprig in the sketch, and I had a fussy cut leafy sprig from my fussy cut item, so I do want to incorporate that because it was super literal to the sketch, and I loved that. So I'm thinking that will be somewhere in the right side of that photo. But I need more layers, and I don't know why it took me so long to pull in my go-to tag doily and glassine bag, but that's finally what I end up doing. So I don't know how much more I fiddle around with this. I did go back to Lisa's Happy Mail goodies of all the things that she die cut for me because there was a lot of wedding things stuff that she gave me. So I definitely wanted to pull in some goodies from her, and there's this little scripty title that says "This Is Us," and I thought that was really sweet, and I just loved the size of it. It was perfect for this proportion of a layout. So I'm thinking that'll run across the bottom of the page that my photo layers will kind of snug into. And then there's also these really cute kind of sketchy hearts that look super delicate. I don't know how her machine can do such delicate die cutting, but I really wanted to incorporate that too, just to pull in some more gold. So once I pulled out her stuff, that kind of helped me get unstuck because I was like, okay, I know I want to use these things. Now I can kind of figure out the rest of the page. And then finally decided to pull in doily, so I'm going to use a doily as the next matte. And then I get stuck momentarily before I'm like, add another glassine bag, add some tags, and kind of just, I don't know why I got so stuck because I ended up doing what I always like to do, so I don't know why I was trying to avoid doing it. I do go in with his original floral scrap that I was going to do the first matte in, and I end up using, do I even use that one? I don't. I use the quilted pattern one as a matte. Yep, that's what I needed. I think I was for some reason avoiding using this paper because I didn't think it went with the rest of the supplies, but I really only needed a little matte going behind all these other layers just for another paper layer. It didn't really matter what the pattern was, so I went ahead and decided to use that anyways. So once I got that trimmed up, then I think it starts looking a lot more layery. So I also go around the edge of that with my Tim Holtz Distress tool, so that also adds a lot of texture as well. But I'm just trying to trim it down. I really don't want you to see the pattern of that. I just really want those pops of colors to come through and to have that extra texture and that extra layer, because other than the pink matte around the photo, it's a lot of white layers leading up to the background, which is just wood grain and more white. So I wanted some more color because I have the color from all of these word stickers, and I needed some more of that pink and that green to be around the photo too. So got my matte trimmed out. I actually don't think I got this one just because the back side, I couldn't really use either side of that in that proportion, I don't think, for another page. So I just go ahead and glue it all down. But this looks so much better to me layer wise. I'm happy now. And now that I have that, I'm playing around with Lisa's die cuts. I think this little heart die cut nestles in perfect and kind of connects those word stickers with my photo area. So I'm definitely going to use that there. You can see that bottom heart is kind of tucked in behind the photo, which I really love, but I'm also going to save that half of the heart that's going to be covered so I can add that to the other side of the photo. So it kind of looks like these hearts run all the way behind my cluster. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. I'm just using my Tombow Mono Multi to glue all this stuff down, and then I'll get my title down. But this is a super different layout for me. Even though I layered the way I normally like to layer, it was really fun doing the mixed media technique and kind of working in a different way. But at the same time, I think this really ties into all the other layouts from this collection that I've done. Like, it doesn't stand out, even though I did a lot of different stuff on this page. So that was really, really enjoyable. But having the gold all tie in, it's obviously the same collection, so that part ties in. I think it'll be a really fun one to look at once you're flipping through the album, especially because this was right after the ceremony. I'm pretty sure this is the last layout you see before we end up taking pictures outside before the reception and stuff. So I think it's nice to be like the final ceremony page. You'll see, especially at the end once I'm at it on the 12 by 12, it's just a kind of nice little final moment, which I really enjoy. But I think I've got most of the die cuts glued down. I did go in with some gold Heidi Swapp Color Shine just to add some more gold around the page. I will add some of my wood veneer hearts. I really wanted, especially since I have this wood grain background, I thought some nice raw wood elements would tie in really nicely. Especially because Father Tim's wearing his gold robes for the wedding, and I think that is awesome because it ties into all the gold elements, but the yellowy tone of that gold is really similar to the warm wood grain of the raw wood veneer, so I think that all ties in really nicely too. But I'm just trying to figure out 3 areas to have these hearts to create that visual triangle. I think again about adding this cute little frame from Ronnie. I can't wait to use that little frame, but it was getting lost behind all the other white elements I already had, plus the white bubbles in the background. So this is why I decided to go in with this scrap I had. I'm going to trim this into the top of a tag so it looks like a tag that's tucked behind everything, but I wanted one more layer that had color in it. To kind of separate all the white layery elements from the background. So I'm trimming this into what looks like a tag. I will add some gold and white twine through that and tuck that behind the glassine bag, and I think that makes a world of difference, just having that little extra layer there. And while I was going through some other goodies from Ronnie, she has some really beautifully cut, like scallopy topped white tags, and I couldn't help myself. I had to pull one of those in since I couldn't use her frame, and I think those two together just add so much cool like texture. So I am adding some gold and white twine through this little white tag too, and this little white tag I'm going to tuck into the glassine bag, so that really helps give you some interesting dimension when you can see the tag through the glassine bag and then the other tag behind it all. I just really love how that looks. But I need to glue down all these wood veneer hearts, and then I need to figure out what I want to do for the 12 by 12. I know I am not gluing this on one of the 2 12 by 12s I have left. So I need to figure out a different 12 by 12 from my stash that I can glue this layout onto. And I decide, since I was in a mixed media mood from doing the painty bubbles, I would do some other kind of mixed media background. And I was kind of feeling bad because my Scrap 5 layout, I didn't feel like I did the stencil justice, because I ended up just using that stencil on a tag, and most of it ended up getting covered up. So I decided I would do a big stencil thing on my 12 by 12 to try to make up for it. So you'll see that in a minute once I kind of glue down all of these hearts. I do add one more little word sticker. It says blessing above the title on the photo, just so there's another word sticker somewhere on the page and it's not just all at the top there. But yeah, this is the 8.5 by 11. So this is for the Stretch the Sketch. And you can see me contemplating using one of the 12 by 12s, but I can't make myself do it. I think this looks great. I love this. I've been hoarding this green paper from the stash, but I'm like, I can't use a 12 by 12 on this layout. So I pull in a plain white, and I was like, it's too plain. I don't want to do plain white. And then my brain kind of clicked and was like, well, make it not plain then. So I go in with this big 12 by 12 chevron stencil, and I just decide to spray my gold Heidi Swapp Color Shine on it. That way you get this spritzed gold chevron across the background, and I love this. Why don't I do this more? It's so easy, and it's so frustrating that I don't think to do this more often. I need to go back and rewatch Sarah Scrapp's mixed media background class, because that really, some of my favorite layouts are ones that I made after taking her class. And yeah, I love the way this turned out. So that's my background. I'm just gluing this 8.5 by 11 on it. I didn't want it center, so I did shift it slightly to the right. I really wanted you to be able to see those chevrons on one side of the page. So here are the close-ups. So this is how it turned out. I had a lot of fun with this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you check out everyone else who is playing along with Stretch the Sketch. I will link them in the description, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.